Go to Mexico, in fact, the Native Americans here are one of the rare Aboriginal peoples that were Unitarian. They had a better understanding of God than the Christians that came to try to convert them. Wallahi, they did. If you study the Plain Indians in particular, they had a better understanding of God. They didn't have idols. They had no idols. So the Prophet ﷺ, this is his mission, and then he left it to us. He left it to us. بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Tell people about this. Sheikh Muhammad al-Yaqubi, Allah yahfaduhu, in his muqaddimah for the Hamziyah, he said, we have a duty to proclaim his praise to the world, Muslims. Look how one of the hallmarks of the time we're living in is identity theft. Our Prophet is a victim of identity theft. And unfortunately, some of the Muslims themselves have stolen his identity. They've made him something that he isn't. And then the people, there's three types of people here that what they call Islamophobes or whatever. I'm just anti-Muslim. Phobia is a problematic word for me, but because there are some valid fears for fearing some of the Muslims these days, unfortunately. So it's not irrational. I'm afraid of some of the Muslims. But you have three types. You have one group that knows who the Prophet is, and they're just evil. They know. Some from our brethren, from other Abrahamic faiths, they know. The Catholics know who he is, because they borrowed heavily from our religion. Their theology is Mu'tazilite. St. Thomas Aquinas, there's a whole book written on this now. It's well known. I mean, he heavily borrowed from the Mu'tazilite theology. Avicenna says the sifat and the that, it's the same. It's just from the that. He says that the attributes are the essence of God, the Mu'tazilite doctrine. Where did he get it from? Well, read his sources. He doesn't shy away from quoting them. He quotes them. So they know those people are just evil. They're evil. يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم. They know him like they know their children. They know there are just rabbis, even on YouTube, that admit that the Prophet ﷺ is a providential force. They admit that Islam is closer to us than Christianity. There are ones. But then there's other ones that just tell lies. They just tell lies, flat out lies. Because the great rabbis of their Middle Ages, Al-Fayyumi is amazing what he says. And that's why in our tradition it says you can't say he's Nabi al-Ummiyin. It's not enough to say he's Nabi al-Ummiyin, because some of the Jews actually said that he's the prophet for the Gentiles. He's not for us, he's for the Gentiles. So they actually knew he was a prophet. And we have this wonderful theologian from Villanova, Anna Moreland, who wrote a book called Muhammad Reconsidered. She's a Christian theologian who had to teach a class on Islam, and she had her own crises. Just studying, she said, this life sounds like the life of a prophet. And so she wrote a book, we need to reconsider who this man was. These are people that are honest and fair. And then there's people that are just completely hoodwinked. They really don't know. And those are the people that we should be communicating to, letting them know who we are, letting them know we're victims of identity theft. Because they understand that.